Welcome back to the People of Penn State podcast. I'm Katie Farnham with the Alumni Association, and today we are celebrating a major milestone, our 100th episode. For the past 5 seasons, our show has brought our alumni here to share their journeys and to inspire past, present, and future generations of Penn Staters. We've heard from alumni who are making a difference across all industries, from entertainment and business to science and agriculture and everything in between. And with our network surpassing 800,000 living alumni this year, the stories are just getting started. To mark the occasion, we thought, who better to talk to than the symbol of our best, the Nittany Lion? Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Mason Reber, the man behind the suit for the past 3 years. Mason is just days away from graduating with a degree in civil engineering and an ROTC cadet in the Engineer Corps of the Army Reserves, and we're so excited to chat with him. Mason, thank you so much for being here today. We are so excited to have you part of our 100th episode. Obviously, you're not in your alumni area yet, so a little different than most of our episodes, but you have a very unique Penn State experience. So let's start with why you chose to come here.
Yeah, so, growing up, I was always a Penn Stater. My family and I always traveled to go to the games. I always say when I was in high school, I would play football games on a Friday night, and then I'd sleep in our RV, and I'd wake up the next morning and I'd be in Happy Valley for the game on Saturdays. So it's always been this really, really big tradition within our family. Going to these games and having these experiences and growing up around the community involved around Penn State. And who doesn't fall in love with that? So I always knew that it was going to be Penn State. Actually, I had a long talk with one of my family friends my junior year because I knew I wanted to do more than to just go to college. So originally my original track was I was going to try to get into West Point. So I did that whole interview, like that whole selection process, I guess you could say, for West Point, getting nominations from Congress people or whatever it is. Long story short, it didn't work out. Knowing what I do now, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because obviously I wouldn't be sitting here today. But that didn't work out. And I was like, okay, I had already gotten accepted into the College of Engineering at Penn State. So I'm like, that's what I'll do. I had no idea what ROTC was before West Point or any of that gist. So, my mom sent me this PowerPoint presentation on what ROTC was and what it involved. So I read up on it a little bit and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I kind of get the best of both worlds. I get to go to college to be a quote unquote normal student. But also you get this military experience as well. And I thought it was perfect. So I applied for a scholarship and I was accepted into their ROTC program here. So that's kind of how my Penn State journey began.
So you were involved in ROTC. You then decide you want to try out to become the Nittany Lion. How did you come to that decision, and what was that process like?
Yeah, it was interesting because I was in ROTC. I show up to campus the first day, and ROTC has this big barbecue cookout, just welcoming in the new cadets, me being one of them as a freshman. I'm trying to find my way as a scared freshman. This huge campus of Penn State, it can be intimidating a little bit when someone first shows up. But all of our ROTC instructors, took us right in, showed us around, chatted with us a lot, and made us really comfortable with the whole idea of attending Penn State. And during this event, the previous Lion, Michael McDermott, who was also an Army ROTC, come to find out, rappelled off of the ROTC building. And I was in awe. My jaw was on the floor and I was like, this is insane. The Nittany Lion is at this event right now and he just rappelled off of a building. So that year goes on and, rumors start to spread. They're like, yo, did you hear the Nittany Lion is also an Army ROTC? And that was huge for me. I was like, I need to find out who this is. So it wasn't until my sophomore year that I got to know Michael McDermott really well. And I knew he was going to be graduating that year. And Penn State cheerleading posted on their Instagram, there's going to be Nittany Lion tryouts. And I'm like, what if I try out for this? What's the worst that can happen? They're going to say no, right? So I was really up in the air about it, going back and forth. I was like, there's just no way that I could ever pull something like this off. And I wasn't going to do it. It was actually my mom who fully convinced me to try out. She said, you need to do this because you're going to regret it a lot if you don't. And I'm really glad she said that to me. So I submitted my written application 10 minutes before it was due. I was going into it pretty much blind. But the tryout, the physical tryout anyway, consisted of a minute to 30 second to 2 minute skit that involves building your own props, mixing your own music, and kind of telling a story. So I'm learning to do this on the fly. After that, it's a 30-second improv. And then you do 50 one-arm push-ups. And then at the end, you play the cowbell. So that was the physical portion of the tryout. And then the following day was the interviews. And then after the interviews got done, I thought I did okay. I really can't remember many of the questions that they asked me because I was so nervous. That was a Sunday. Monday goes by, I don't hear anything. And this is the only thing I can think about at this point. I can't focus on my classes. I want to know if I got it or not. Tuesday goes by, they send out an email to all of the people that were still to be considered. And they pretty much said, hey, like, we want to bring all of you guys in. We want to put your parents on Zoom. And we kind of want to talk to your parents about what your what your son or daughter's experience would be like if they were to have this position. And I was like, one more interview that I have to do. I was kind of like, can we just get this over with already? So I get dressed, go to the Alumni Center. They sit me down, put my parents on Zoom. They introduce themselves. And after they got done, they're like, okay, let's get started. And my now head coach stands up really fast and he goes, congratulations, you're the Nittany Lion. And so long story short, they tricked me completely. They sent out this fake email, painting the picture that there was, still the selection process going on. And they really just wanted to get me there and my parents on Zoom to kind of announce this thing. So
what was your reaction in that moment? Obviously you go in thinking you're having another interview, you're nervous preparing for that. And then all of a sudden, like, sigh of relief, I'm sure, but what was your reaction?
It was complete shock. There's pictures somewhere of Michael McDermott because he was on the judge panel. They started playing, I want to say the fight song for Penn State, and he runs over and he hands me the Nittany Lion head and he hands me a Nittany Lion book, and I'm just like in complete shock. So that's something that I'll never forget, and I'm so glad they did it that way because I can always look back on that day and just kind of laugh about it.
So this on a whim decision basically kind of changes the trajectory of the next 3 years for you. What does the behind the scenes of being the Lion look like, your training, your day-to-day schedule, and how did you find balance, especially being an engineering student and in ROTC?
Right. So when I first started, I pretty much shadowed Mike for a while. I shadowed him for a couple of events. And then when I started, my life did like a complete 180. I was trying to find my way. I was in 3 different states the first 3 weeks that I started because we were traveling for basketball, and basketball was doing really well that year. So it was kind of a trial by fire, I guess you could say. And I like what I always said is I took it one day at a time, especially when I first started, because if you look at this schedule for your upcoming 2 or 3 weeks, say, there's so much on your calendar, and it can be overwhelming for someone like me. It is anyway. So I take it one day at a time. I look at this day and I'm like, okay, here's what I have to do this day, and here's where I need to be during certain times. And if I can get through that day, I can get through the next day and the next day and the next day. So that's the way I personally approached this position. Obviously, everybody's a little different, but balancing was a learning process. And throughout these past 3 years, we've built out this incredible team that's involved with the mascot. We call it a Lion Troop team. And, these people have helped so much, not only for me, but the Nittany Lion character as well. So they do anything from, helping me out with my schedule. We have weekly meetings that we do every Monday, planning out at least our next 2 weeks of events and stuff that we have to get done. They help out with building props, skit ideas, dances, like you name it. They really help out and like so much. And I'm so happy and so glad that I've had the opportunity to have them by my side, because looking at it today, I don't think I could do it without them. So.
And without you, the Nittany Lion is just a suit, basically, right? You have to bring the personality, you have to bring the energy to all of these events that you're going to. Like you said, you're going to be in different states, maybe all in one day. So what's it like to know that you're the person behind the suit and that, you get to bring whatever energy you want to bring to the Nittany Lion character?
Yeah, at first I was I always knew how important the Nittany Lion was just growing up around this community. I didn't realize the impact that the lion could make. And I've said this story a lot now. When I first started, we got a request for a kid that was actually going into open heart surgery within the next like 2 or 3 days. And they were asking if the lion could, write something on a whiteboard saying, get better soon, Liam. Something along those lines, just a short, quick video that they wanted us to do. So, we wrote on a whiteboard, get better soon, Liam, and signed it the Nittany Lion, sent the video out to him. And, we're staying busy doing other events. And this reaction video comes back from Liam, and his eyes literally lit up so much. Here's a kid sitting in a hospital bed about to go to open heart surgery and realizing that the impact that I could make on him just by sending him a short couple-second video. That's when I really realized how much impact the lion can have. And I took that moment and shot it into the rest of my career as best as I could, because I realized how important the Nittany Lion can have this crazy impact on people. And, it could be something so small or something big, whatever it is, people find some sort of enjoyment out of it, people of all ages. So that really was kind of a defining moment. And when I realized how impactful this position is and how important it is to carry that weight with you day in and day out, every time you put the suit on.
And you're only one of 54 people to wear the suit, which is kind of a small number when you think about it. So what did it mean to you to know that you get to do that for 3 years, and you get to, when you walk into a room, people light up, people are chanting for you, they want you to come into wherever they are. So what does that feel like?
Yeah, when I first started, it was a complete whirlwind. I put on a suit and all of a sudden everybody wants a picture with you. And, me being Mason, that was something that I wasn't used to at all. Obviously that, I've come to learn that it gets easier over time, that the character that I've developed and built, I can, by the snap of my fingers, every time I put the suit on, I can snap into that character. It was a learning process for sure. And, realizing that the amount of people that love the lion, and this is carried from generations too. I have people that graduated, back in the 70s or 80s, and they come up to me and say, hey, it's been 20 years since I've gotten a picture with the Nittany Lion. And I'm like, this is insane. The fact that I'm able to be in this position where people of all ages still have that almost relationship with the Nittany Lion, and it's continued throughout their entire time since they've graduated, is really special. And to know that I've been so lucky to be the 54th one to put on this suit, it's something that I'll hold near and dear to me forever. And you could ask any of the Nittany Lions who have came before me, they'll say the exact same thing. It's kind of this little family lineage that we have going, and I've been so fortunate to get to know all those people who've worn the suit before me, and learning from them and continuing to build this character.
Anytime somebody asks you for a fun fact about yourself, you're set. You have a really good answer to that question forever.
Yeah.
So there were some changes that happened with the Nittany Lion character or the suit over time while you were just the mascot, so 3 years. Tell us a little bit about those changes.
Yeah, so when I first started, we were still kind of in the same version of the mascot that we used to. Once we kind of built out this team, we realized, there's some things that we wanted to do to improve just the mascot overall, its character, how it impacts people. It kind of all started with building out this now Instagram that we have, and it's just blown up in that sense of things. And we were wanting to do so much more because we knew there was so much opportunity for it. We looked at these other programs and we were like, why can't we do that? So that's kind of where the direction that we took it. As far as appearance goes, obviously the Nittany Lion looks different now. We went through a new company that designed a new version of the Nittany Lion mascot, and it's been really, really awesome to be a part of that process as far as designing it. And then it finally coming into something physical and having that process come to fruition has been amazing. So obviously people do realize and see now that the Nittany Lion looks like a little bit different than what it used to in the previous years. So just being able to be a part of that and seeing the character evolve and this program evolve into something so much more has been something that I'll just say time and time again. I've just been so thankful to be a part of something I feel has really took off for this program.
And what are some of your most memorable moments, trips, or skits that you had while you were in Nittany Lion?
Well, I mean, as far as skits go, just because of the amount of time that I take to prepare for it, the whiteout dance that the Lion does every year with the Lionettes dance team and all the choreographing that goes into it and learning the dances, because I don't really come from a dancing background. It takes me a lot longer to pick up on these moves that these girls are performing. They pick it up in 30 seconds and I'm kind of lagging behind, and I feel bad because I'm holding them up in some sort of way. So what usually takes them one day to learn might take me like 2-ish weeks to learn. So it's that process alone is very fulfilling when that day finally comes and I get to perform. And those were probably some of the most memorable moments as far as that goes. And then obviously the events that I've gotten to do some crazy events over the years. And one that obviously always sticks out to me is Thon. I've had the opportunity to dance in Thon while also being the Nittany Lion. And that whole experience, as everyone really knows and has gotten to know Thon and the things that we do every year, that alone was by far the hardest thing that I've done as the Nittany Lion, but also just in general, being surrounded by these families. It is such a special thing that I've gotten to do. And, I'd say that it's difficult, but when you realize what these families go through and these kids go through day in, day out, that my suffering doesn't compare to some of the suffering that they go through every day.
So let's talk a little bit about going from the Nittany Lion to now going to Mason. So take us back to that chilly November night, senior day in Beaver Stadium. You're about to take the lion head off and reveal who you are. What's going through your head?
There was a whole lot going through my head. The days leading up to it, we were kind of talking to I was just chatting with our team about it. And I'm like, I don't really know what emotions I'm going to feel. I know it's going to be emotional. But in the sense of, how I'm going to be feeling, I have no idea, because it was such like a kind of a culminating event over the past 3 years. We knew this day would always, end up coming, but it was always like, oh yeah, like we have a while until this day comes. And then all of a sudden we're like here. And it was kind of a shock to all of us, I'd say. So, that game, I would say I was probably the most nervous that I ever was for anything that I've ever done. I've done some crazy things as the Lion, but I've never purposely revealed myself to the entire Penn State community and the rest of the world. Like, it was something that was terrifying for me in a sense. So I was extremely nervous. Obviously, when that moment happened, it was amazing. It was overwhelming. I say to people, one of the most overwhelming things was me realizing how bright it was, because it was a night game. And for the past 3 years, I haven't been able to see, the full spectrum of what a football game looks like, because my vision isn't the best in the suit. So that was kind of overwhelming, and it made me like step back a little bit, remembering how bright it was for night games when I was just a student. Tons of emotions, happiness, sadness, and it was just great overall.
So some of your close family and friends obviously knew you were the Lion, but you did share a story about your godson who loved the Nittany Lion but had no clue that you were in the suit. So what was his reaction once he learned that it was you? And how have there been questions since then, and how's that been going?
Yeah. So keeping that secret from him for 3 years was no easy task. We've had some close calls, but we've been able to keep it under wraps. when I revealed myself, I remember him running to me and latching onto my leg. And it was just this kind of like, wow moment, like of like how like we really did pull this off. And you couldn't have asked for anything better. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see him, again, since I've revealed, because I've been here at college. I'm still performing and doing all these other events, but I'm sure he's going to have a ton of questions loaded up for me the next time I see him. And we'll be able to kind of share those experiences and kind of reflect on it. So I'm excited to see him again.
Those wheels are definitely turning. He's got a laundry list for you.
100%.
How hard was it to keep the secret just in general? Walking around campus, you're busy, you have a lot of things that you have to do, and you can't really tell people, but you can kind of tell people, but you can't really tell people. So how did you manage that?
Yeah, it was a whole other aspect of this position too. And we as a team know how important it was to keep this identity a secret, because it almost takes the magic away in a sense, I'd say, from the Nittany Lion. And that's the last thing that we want to do, is kind of take away from the character itself that we've worked so hard to stay consistent the past 3 years. So that was something that we really wanted to keep under wraps. And, the support that I've received from my family and them keeping it a secret, along with, my roommates. My roommates were all in ROTC, and this little class that we had within ROTC did such a great job with keeping it under wraps, covering for me if somebody asked where I was, or saying that I had homework to do, or I was working at some job. You name it, like it's probably been put out there at some point during this time. So I'm just very thankful for the people that I've been surrounded by, and my family, and the support that they've given me during this time.
And you kind of went from being a face in the crowd, right? You can walk on the street, nobody's recognizing you. And now all of a sudden you're on this media tour. You have a lot of interviews. I'm sure people have been coming up to you on the street. So what has that transition been like? It's
been very, very strange for me personally, because there was always a disconnect between like me, Mason, and the character of the Lion. Yes, like I've developed this character of the Lion over time. And obviously, like, this character is getting pictures and being the symbol of Penn State for however long it is. But me personally, having people ask me, Mason, for pictures is strange in a way. And it's still something that I think I won't ever get used to. But it's, the support that I've received from not only people that come up to me in person, but since my reveal, there have been people from across the country that have reached out to me personally, sending me messages over Instagram or Facebook, and just thanking me for the time that I had at Penn State, because I had some sort of interaction with their son or daughter. And that, for me, is really what I was trying to do when it all started. And to receive that feedback from people has been really fulfilling. And like I said, I've just been so thankful to be put in this position to give that back to people.
So you're graduating here in a few days. Your time is kind of winding down as the Nittany Lion. How do you plan to keep the Penn State spirit going in your life, and what's next for you?
Obviously, these past 3 years have been such a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's an experience that I can get to share with all of the people that I've gotten to know over the years. I hope to continue being a part of this Penn State community when my time is over, because I completely plan on it. Penn State has changed my life indefinitely, I guess you could say. There will always be this special piece of Penn State in my life, obviously, because I've lived this kind of crazy life for the past 3 years. But just giving back in some sort of way, continuing to give back as much as I've tried to, obviously during the time as Lion, but hopefully now, whatever opportunities hopefully come up, that I could give back to Penn State in some sort of way. And I'm looking forward to those opportunities. So.
And what does it mean to you to know that you're going to go out into the world and be a part of this vast Penn State alumni network, and kind of always have those connections to Penn State as you continue on?
Yeah, well, knowing that we have, the biggest alumni group in the nation, that is quite the stat. And I'm looking forward to joining this community and connecting with people, across the world. There's been a few people that have reached out to me through the Alumni Association, just telling me, hey, if you're ever in this area, let's go grab coffee. And that is just so cool. Knowing no matter where you go, you're going to find a Penn Stater somewhere. And that's what I think is the coolest thing about this entire community. So I look forward to having those moments with people, meeting new people and kind of expanding my relationships in that sense.
And they're always going to recognize you now. So get ready. All right, Mason, we like to wrap things up with a lightning round of Penn State related questions, but we will note that these are Mason's opinions, not the Nittany Lions opinions. So don't come for him.
Definitely separate.
All right. Your favorite creamery ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip cookie dough for sure. I'm a big cookie dough guy.
Your favorite spot on campus?
Oh man, there's so many good ones. Do you mean like a studying spot or just a landmark? I think
maybe both. Where do you like to study? And then what landmark is your favorite?
Since this new civil engineering building, the E-Core building has gone up, I've been spending a lot of my time in there. But I feel like the only right answer for me as far as a spot goes is the Nittany Lion Shrine.
Obviously. Your favorite class and or professor?
Oh man. I would probably say CE 310, it's a surveying class that I took, and my Professor Brian Naberezny he's actually my my advisor for my classes and stuff, and I've gotten to know him really well, and we've gotten to kind of share these experiences and gotten to chat a lot with him. He's such a cool guy, and I'm very thankful for him, especially
he's been in on the secret.
He has been, I had no choice but to tell him. I'm like, hey, these classes I need to take during
help
this time. Yeah, please help me. But he's been so amazing in that sense, and we've gotten to connect a lot just through this experience, obviously through the line, but also as far as civil engineering goes. So it's been really cool.
Your favorite local restaurant in State College?
I love trying different food. Whew.
You can pick a few.
That's difficult. I've always been a breakfast guy. I love breakfast. So waffle shops up there for sure. And obviously another breakfast place is the Corner Room for me. I've been to the Corner Room a couple times. Corner Room is amazing as well. So
good choices. And last question, your most treasured piece of Penn State merch, if you can choose one. I'm sure you have many. Oh
man. It's funny because these past 3 years I've gotten to collect everything that I've done as Lion. I have a shoebox that I keep all of these little memorabilia pieces that people have given to the Lion or whatever it was. And it's been anything from, people have given me paintings of seashells of the Nittany Lion.
Wow.
So just little stuff like that. I don't know that I can pick one specifically, to be honest with you, but people have given so many things to the Lion, and here Mason is with all of these stuff that people have given the Lion, and I'm like, what do I do with this? I feel like I'm not deserving of it in a sense because it's the Nittany Lions. It's not mine, right?
Without you, there's no Lion, so it's yours.
But there's a ton of stuff in this shoebox that I've had and I've gathered over the years, and whether it be from hotel room keys from the trips that I've taken to, like I've said, seashells or brochures or pamphlets, all this stuff is kind of a culmination of all the things that have been really special. So
I think you have a scrapbook project in your future here.
I definitely do. I really do. Yeah.
All right, Mason. Well, thank you so much for joining us and being part of our 100th episode. And congratulations on your upcoming graduation and all of your success as the Nittany Lion.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Thank you again to Mason for joining us. And thanks to all of you for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. A special shout out to our behind the scenes crew, Abrielle Clark and Gabrielle Harris, for their work on this and many other episodes. We're excited to return in 2026 with more alumni stories and a brand new season of the People of Penn State podcast. In the meantime, check out the Penn Stater magazine to see what your fellow Penn Staters are up to, and for more information on the Alumni Association, visit alumni.psu.edu. We are